Present detailed report of remittance into the federal account. National Economic Council tells NNPC Nigeria's solid mineral revenue hits 262 billion naira in 9 years. Plus, World Bank approves $2.1 billion loan for 7 projects in Nigeria. This and more on Business Express today. I am Musa Abubakar. And now we begin with the National Economic Council. The National Economic Council has approved the recommendation of the Federation Account Allocation Committee to have a detailed report of NNPC remittance into the Federation account before allocating same to stakeholders. State House correspondent Gideon Ifade reports.
Committee headed by Minister of Finance Kemi Adeosun says meetings previously held with the NNPC on the ground of remittances into the Federation account ended in stalemate, as the corporation still has some explanations to make in respect of its spendings.
We operate NNPC, it's a business. We operate it as a business. We have invested public capital in that business and we have an expectation of a return. And when that return falls lower than our expectations, then the owners of the business, which in this case is the federal government and the states, need to act. So that's really what caused the deadlock yesterday, where we really felt that the figures that NNPC was proposing for FAC were unacceptable. We felt that the costs, some of the costs couldn't be justified, and so we have decided, rather than approve the accounts, we would go back and do further work.
An annual report of the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority for 2016 and an update for the 2017 activities was taken at the meeting.
5 years so far of profitability in all funds, with core profits of about $26.28 billion, which is about $88 million for the year 2016. NSIA also reported that total assets under management was about $1.25 billion for the most part of the year, but they've received an extra $250 million, but that was received in the third quarter of 2017.
Minister of Education Adamu Adamu says the council has set up a committee to look into how states can key into the national roadmap on education.
The governor of Kano, Osun, Delta, Anambra, and the CBN governor and the Minister of Education to look into what needs to be done urgently in the education sector at the state level.
The Minister of Communication made a presentation to the Council on the national addressing policy.
The request today was for Council to consider and approve the proposed national addressing data ecosystem architecture for the implementation of the national addressing system, as well as to consider and accord high priority status for the implementation of the national addressing system program.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has justified its 147 billion naira June remittance to the Federation Accounts and Allocation Committee, FAC, saying it's in line with the terms of agreement it had with governors over the matter. A statement by NNPC Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs, Mr. Ndu Ugumadu, says that the agreement NNPC had with the governors was that the corporation will make a monthly remittance of 112 billion naira to FEC, subject to sufficient funds from sales of domestic crude oil allocation for the corresponding month, after meeting cash call obligations on joint ventures, deductions of premium motor spirit, cost under recovery and pipeline maintenance. The release stated that NNPC was able to surpass the terms of agreement with the governors on the monthly remittance for the month of June by 35 billion naira, having taken a cue from their postures by taking from the sum meant for settling cash call obligations. The corporation regretted the governor's additional request of 40 billion naira, saying it was unfortunate given the fact that the NNPC is set to exit the cash call phenomenon. World-class export-oriented special economic zones are to be developed across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. This followed the approval by the Federal Executive Council for effective implementation of what it calls Project Made in Nigeria for Export. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Okechukwu Enalema, announced this while briefing newsmen after the Council's meeting. Adamu Samu reports.
Presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, took a critical look at what other countries did right to rapidly industrialize and came to the conclusion that special economic zones and world-class industrial parks were responsible. And following a memo from the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, it was agreed unanimously that Nigeria must take a cue.
We're going to do one in the Lagos State Lekki Free Trade Zone area, one in Katsina, in Funtua Cotton Cluster Zone area, and another one in Abia, in Enyimba City. We're also going to develop to world-class standards the existing 2 zones that the government has in Calabar and Kano. And then in addition, the council also approved pre-development work to start and development of greenfield special economic zones in Akwa Ibom, in Benue, in Ebonyi, in Edo, in Gombe, in Kwara, and in Sokoto states, with a further rollout to other locations in phase 2. It's going to be developed in a way that is world-class with other investors, and you are going to see rapid implementation now that council approval has been obtained.
Already, 3.1 billion naira has been approved for consultants of the PPP project, expected to gulp about 250 billion naira. Meanwhile, strict compliance to the provisions of Executive Order 001 dealing with transparency, efficiency, and ease of doing business has been ordered by the Council, so also the compliance by ministries, departments, and agencies to the 72-hour timeline for responding to the online feedback portal in respect of complaints and inquiries.
The most important thing to state is that there's a real commitment by this government to ensuring that this enabling environment, is fully supported, and that the benefits accrue to our people as rapidly as possible.
For the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, 6 memos were approved for the construction of power transmission station in Jos Plateau State, as well as the augmentation of contracts for the rehabilitation and construction of several roads and bridges across the country. One of them is the dualization of Ilorin, Jebba, Mokwa, Bokani Road, linking Kwara and Niger states at 130 billion naira. On his part, the Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, secured the Council's approval for the building of a house for Boeing 737 simulator that has already been procured for the School of Aviation Zaria.
Just recently, Zaria became the Center for Excellence in Africa by International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. And it's part of our efforts to upgrade Zaria and make it the only training institution in the world. We are on our way to doing that. Just a couple of weeks ago, also, remember, Council approved about 4-point-something billion to put up a fire simulator in Zaria. So the wind of change is blowing in Nigeria College of Aviation Technology Zaria.
The minister also briefed the council on the seasonal rainfall prediction report by NIMET.
Extremely important that this seasonal rainfall prediction is followed. We've launched it in Abuja some time ago for the 2018, and we had 99.8 98% accuracy.
We're now being joined by a development economist, Yushewu Aliu, to take a look at the proposed special economic zones. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you and good afternoon.
Okay, with the proposed economic zone by the federal government, what's your take? How do you think it will impact on Nigeria's economy?
It's now building hope that what the Chinese were able to do in 38 years, we are now joining the club. And the special economic zones are very serious issues as far as the modern economy is concerned. All economies, including the United States and India, have developed and adopted that same measure. And it has helped so much in trying to gather talent in a good fashion, where youth will be critically involved in all affairs of the economy. You know, special economic zones has to do with a lot of ease of doing business proposals that will help the economy, and after helping the economy, it will now advance the economy. The high-performing Asian economies enjoy a lot from this special economic zone. So with the Federal Executive Council encouraging and then adopting at the same time, is a good development for our economy now.
Okay, so what do you think should ordinary Nigerians expect from this particular?
Ordinary Nigerians, we are expected to change our attitude first. By changing attitude, we should be positive to our economy, we should be positive to our patriotism, and at the same time to commit ourselves. Without committing yourself in any sector, you are to be accused of being unemployed. Every Nigerian that has a background of Western education is expected to be part of the economy, either at the top or middle or high, but there is a graduation level. So what I am trying to even call the attention of the government is the fact that the focus laboratories now in place, because the economy, you know, is recovering from the recession, and thank God we were not able to go down the line, that is to go beyond recession. We are now coming back, recovering. So the economic recovery and growth plan of the government has to include this proposal into it, because the focus laboratories are merely theater of investment, and if they are theaters of investment, creating the region has to do with the performance of that same focus laboratory.
Okay, what areas do you think we should focus on?
Definitely agriculture and education. By agriculture, it means in an economy that suffers so much unemployment, that is very high, and also with the youth, potential youths that are ready to be part of agriculture. You know, when agriculture is mentioned, it's not just planting crops. Agriculture, in fact, is the whole space of human life. That is why it is agri and culture at the same time. So I am expecting the economic recovery and growth plan to go beyond oil and gas, because it's an investment theater where people that are ready with their capital can come and enjoy facilities. But our youth also should understand that going into economic zones, it means we are starting something that we must be positive about that same prospect. Remember, the Indian structure is 8. They have 8 zones created, including Gujarati. And we, students of economics, we respect Gujarati because it's one of the serious economists that the world has ever seen. So we are expecting these zones to be created has to go along the same culture of the regions, because when you deviate from the culture of the region, assuming when you go, for instance, in the eastern part, we should look at the predicament facing and also the type of industries, so that we determine the type of investment. And we have to facilitate all our transport system to be efficient, including the railway, because Chinese, in their own system, they adopted close border. They go very close to Hong Kong and Taiwan, because in the 80s, these were very significant nations that transformed technology and production, including marketing.
Okay. Special economic zones led to industrialization in some other climes. Do you see us likely succeeding, or Nigeria likely succeeding too?
There is hope. Even the International Monetary Fund has a hope in Nigeria being industrialized. We have been delaying our process, but now that we have some fundamental issues on ground, especially the Focus Laboratory. I am emphasizing on Focus Laboratory because it has over $20 billion target. So if you have a target of that nature, the hope that we are looking into our economy is the fact that any sector you want to develop in this economy, there are potential investors within and outside the economy. So our prospect is so glaring, looking at the fact that we have industrialists that are doing best in the world. So and we are expecting even the Nigerian diaspora to be part of this process, especially those from the Western Europe, because of the economic of scale aspect of the investment.
Okay, one of the most challenging things about like the Nigerian economy, most especially agriculture, is the issue of value-added chain. What do you think we can do?
You see,
towards that?
You see, if we have to look at the direction of the Nigerian economy in agriculture, and emphasis is made on rice production, and the value chain of rice production has to do with those who are expert in the production, whether they are from the same economy or outside. I was a party when we signed an agreement, memorandum of understanding with Pearl Universal Impacts, and looking at the value chain. It means that this company will come with whatever technology they have. They will come with the resources they have, and at the same time developing at the same time, so that the economic of scale, where it produces, for instance, from the main target company to local peasant farmers who will be engaged, who will be multiplying the produce, who will be sending their own, who will be paying taxes. So the challenge is great, but it's not the most important challenge as far as these economic zones are concerned. The greatest challenge now is the security, because security plays a vital role. Like the example I gave you, going to the northeast to set a special economic zone. So you have to make sure that it is going to be operated with zero security risks.
Okay, the National Economic Council Thursday threw its weight behind the Federation Account Allocation Committee's decision to reject the remittance by the NNPC. What's your take on that?
It's healthy to our economy because before now we don't have such challenge clearly shown. But now it shows that there is a need for government to clearly define the roles of the NNPC as far as marketing of the product and then remitting of the same proceed, as well as looking at those in charge, because it's not healthy when the economy wants to have more injection into it to be having delays, because delays in most cases, according to experts, is very dangerous. So it is good to harmonize, to check, to balance the NNPC itself, especially being now the ministry completely is under the care of Mr. President. It's not healthy to be having such challenges every time, and there is need to also look at the role of central bank in trying to make sure that all the finances of the government, especially in the federal allocations.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr.
I'm grateful, thank you.
Isheu Aliu, thanks for your contribution. Moving on, equities market on Thursday closed on a negative note as NSE All-Share Index depreciated by 0.61% to close at 37,733.44 basis point, as against 0.06% depreciation recorded previously.
On the capital market, price losses suffered by most blue-chip companies made trading on the floor of the Nigeria Stock Exchange (NSE) to close Thursday on a downward note. The all-share index shed 0.61% to close at 37,733.44 points. The total volume traded dropped to 414 million shares worth 4.4 billion naira, traded in 3,354 deals. Honeyflower recorded the highest price gain of 9.55%. On the other hand, Equity Assurance PLC led the losers chart by 4.55%. Top trades measured by volume were recorded by Champion, Sterling Bank and Zenith Bank.
European stocks track a rally in Asia as global markets headed for an upbeat end to what has been a tumultuous quarter.
African stocks market opened mixed this morning, with South Africa JSE Africa Top 40 gaining 0.91%, Namibia 0.57%, and Ghana GSA Composite Index 0.06%. In US, major stocks closed Thursday trading on a positive note. Dow Jones Industrial Average closed 0.41% at 24,216.05. S&P 500 appreciated by 0.62% and Nasdaq Composite 0.79%. As at 2 a.m., 2:15 a.m. and 4:08 a.m., the Asian stocks were on the rise. Nikkei gained 0.15%, Shanghai Composite 2.12%, and Hang Seng Index gained 1.49%. In Europe, FTSE closed Thursday trading session on a negative note at 0.08%, while DAX and CAC remained flat.
Let's now take a look at commodity rates in the global market. It's now time to gauge the Naira's exchange rate against other international currencies. Well, this is where we draw the curtain on Business Express for today. Join us on Monday for another edition. I am Musa Abubakar.